The Cricket on the Hearth. A Tale from Victorian England by Charles Dickens, exploring the timeless themes of love, trust, and family. A carrier's domestic happiness is tested by doubt and jealousy until the magical cricket on his hearth reveals the true power of love and trust. In a snug little cottage where warmth radiated from every corner and love seemed to glow as steadily as the fire in the hearth, there lived John Peerybingle, a carrier whose honest face and gentle manner had earned him the affection of all who knew him. The cottage itself was a marvel of domestic comfort, chintz curtains at the windows, bright copper kettles that sang upon the hob, and everywhere the evidence of a home where happiness had taken deep root. But the true magic of the place resided in a tiny corner near the fireplace where a cricket had made its home. This was no ordinary cricket, for its chirping carried with it the very spirit of the hearth, a sound so musical, so full of contentment, that it seemed to bless all who heard it with peace and good fortune. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The little creature sang as John returned from his daily rounds, his cartwheels crunching on the frost-covered lane. Snow had begun to fall again, dusting his shoulders and the mane of his faithful horse, who snorted clouds of vapor into the crisp evening air. Beside him on the cart sat a curious passenger, a deaf old man, bent with age, his threadbare coat pulled tight against the cold. John said cheerfully to his passenger, though he knew the old man could not hear him.
"There's our cricket welcoming us home. You'll be warm soon enough, friend. My dot keeps the finest hearth in all England."
Inside the cottage, his wife moved about with the graceful efficiency of a woman who found joy in creating comfort for those she loved. At 20, she was young enough to be John's daughter. Indeed, many in the village whispered about the great difference in their ages, but their love was so evident, so pure in its devotion, that even the most gossipy tongues fell silent in its presence. Dot called as she heard his familiar step at the door.
"My dear John, you're just in time. The baby has been fussing all afternoon, and I swear he knows when his father is near."
In her arms, Dot cradled their infant son, a child whose bright eyes and ready smile seemed to have inherited the best qualities of both parents. The baby reached out tiny fingers toward his father as he entered, stamping the snow from his boots. Dot asked, her kind eyes taking in the elderly stranger with immediate concern.
"And who is this you've brought us?"
John replied, helping the old man to a chair near the fire.
"A traveler in need of shelter. He's deaf, poor soul, but honest enough. He'll stay the night and be on his way in the morning."
The old man settled by the hearth, and the cricket's song seemed to intensify, as if welcoming him. Dot brought him warm soup and bread, communicating through gestures and gentle smiles. There was something about the stranger that puzzled her. Despite his bent posture and white hair, his hands seemed strong, his movements occasionally too quick for a man of such apparent age. Their evening peace was shattered by a loud knock at the door. John opened it to reveal Tackleton, a toy merchant from the village whose sour disposition was as famous as his successful business. Everything about Tackleton spoke of prosperity. His fine coat, his polished boots, his heavy gold watch chain, but nothing suggested happiness. Tackleton said, his voice carrying its usual edge of cynicism.
"Good evening, Peerybingle. I've come to remind your wife that she must attend my wedding tomorrow. May Fielding becomes Mrs. Tackleton at noon, and I expect her dearest friend to witness it."
Dot's face clouded.
Of course I'll be there, Mr. Tackleton. Though I wish.
She hesitated, then continued more quietly.
I wish that May were marrying for love rather than necessity.
Love,
Tackleton barked a laugh.
sentiment, and moonshine. I offer her a comfortable home and a secure position. What more could any sensible woman want? That fool Edward Plummer promised her the moon and then disappeared to South America. 3 years without a word. The boy is surely dead.
At the mention of Edward's name, the old stranger by the fire seemed to stiffen, but no one noticed except Dot, whose sharp eyes caught the subtle movement. John said diplomatically,
May is a dear girl, and we wish you both happiness.
After Tackleton left, John noticed Dot staring at the old man with a peculiar intensity. When their guest retired to the small room they'd prepared for him, John asked,
What troubles you, my dear?
Nothing.
Dot replied too quickly.
Nothing at all. I'm just tired. That's all.
But as the house settled for the night, Dot did not go to bed. Instead, she crept to the stranger's door and knocked softly. John, unable to sleep, followed and witnessed a sight that froze his blood. Through a crack in the door, he saw the old man had removed his wig, revealing thick, dark hair. He stood straight and tall, no longer old at all, but a handsome young man. And Dot was speaking to him with an animation and joy that John had never seen her display with such intensity. John could not hear their words, but he saw Dot laugh, that bright, delighted laugh of youth, and touched the young man's arm. He saw how the stranger looked at his wife with an expression that seemed to hold years of longing. John retreated to the fireside, his heart crushed under the weight of a terrible realization. His young wife, whom he loved more than life itself, had taken a lover. The stranger was no deaf old man at all, but some young suitor from her past. The cricket's song, which had always brought him comfort, now seemed to mock his pain. John whispered to himself,
I am a fool, an old, stupid fool who thought a young woman could truly love him. I have bound her to me when her heart belongs to youth.
The night stretched on endlessly. John sat in his chair, staring into the dying fire, torn between rage, grief, and a deep, overwhelming sorrow. The baby slept peacefully in his cradle, that slept in their bed, unaware of her husband's torment. And the cricket fell silent, as if it too mourned the breaking of this happy home. But as the darkest hour approached, that time before dawn when the world holds its breath, the cricket suddenly burst into song. Not its usual cheerful chirp, but something wild and magical, a sound that seemed to expand and fill the entire cottage with light. A voice spoke, neither quite cricket nor quite human.
John Peerybingle, you sit in judgment of your wife, but you judge with blind eyes.
The hearth began to glow with an otherworldly light, and the cricket emerged from its home, transformed into a creature of pure radiance, the spirit of the hearth itself. The cricket commanded,
Look.
And the air before John shimmered like water. In the magical light, John saw visions. He saw that on their wedding day, pledging herself to him with complete sincerity. He saw her caring for him when he was ill, sitting up through the night to cool his fever. He saw her mending his clothes, preparing his meals, welcoming him home with genuine joy every evening. He saw her holding their baby, whispering to the child about what a good man his father was. John protested.
But the young man,
The cricket sang.
Look deeper and see with your heart, not your jealous eyes.
The visions shifted, showing Dot as a girl of 17, saying goodbye to a young man, Edward Plummer, May Fielding's sweetheart, as he left for South America to make his fortune. He saw May weeping when Edward's letters stopped coming. He saw May, desperate and alone, agreeing to marry the wealthy but cruel Tackleton. And he saw Dot's face tonight when she had recognized Edward beneath his disguise. Not love, but hope. Hope for her dear friend, May. The cricket explained.
Your wife has been hiding Edward's return so that he might surprise May and stop her marriage to Tackleton. She laughed tonight not from love, but from joy that her friend might yet find happiness. She is as true to you as glass is to the light that shines through it. Trust her, John Peerybingle. Trust the love you have built together.
As dawn broke, John sat in his chair, tears streaming down his face, not from sorrow now, but from shame at having doubted, and from overwhelming gratitude for the gift he had almost thrown away. Dot emerged from the bedroom, her face drawn with worry.
John, have you been up all night? Are you ill?
He could not speak. Instead, he pulled her into his arms and held her as if she were the most precious thing in all the world, which, indeed, she was. Dot asked, alarmed,
My dear John, what's wrong?
John managed at last.
nothing. Everything is right. Dot, I need you to tell me the truth about our guest.
And so she told him everything. How she had recognized Edward despite his disguise. How she had promised to keep his secret until the moment of May's wedding. How Edward planned to appear at the church and claim his true love before the vows were spoken. Dot said,
You must think me foolish, playing at such intrigues. But May is like a sister to me, and I could not bear to see her trapped in a loveless marriage.
John replied,
I think you are the best woman who ever lived, and I am sorry, so very sorry, for doubting you, even for a moment.
The wedding hour approached. The village church was decorated for the ceremony, and May Fielding stood in her simple white dress, her face pale but resigned. The vicar had opened his prayer book and was about to begin when the church doors burst open. A voice rang out.
Stop! May Fielding, you cannot marry this man.
It was Edward Plummer, no longer disguised, but standing tall and proud, his face shining with love. May gasped, swayed, and would have fallen if Edward had not rushed forward to catch her. Edward declared,
I am not dead, though all believed me so. My ship was wrecked, and I was held captive for 2 years by those who found me. When I finally escaped and sent word, my letters never reached England. I returned as fast as I could, traveling in disguise to avoid those who might have stopped me. May, I have loved you every moment we've been apart. If you'll still have me, I am yours forever.
May looked at Edward, then at Tackleton, then back at Edward.
Yes,
She whispered, then louder.
yes, 1,000 times yes.
Tackleton stood frozen, his face a mask of fury and humiliation. But as he looked around at the joy of the reunited lovers, at Duck and John standing together with their baby, at the smiling faces of the villagers who had gathered for the wedding, something in him began to crack. Tackleton said at last, his voice rough,
Take her. Take her and be happy. I suppose.
He paused, struggling with unfamiliar emotions.
I suppose that true love is worth more than comfort and convenience.
The vicar, with remarkable flexibility, adjusted his prayer book and married May Fielding to Edward Plummer instead. The church bells rang out joyfully, and even the sour Tackleton found himself caught up in the celebration. That evening, as John and Dot sat by their hearth with their baby sleeping peacefully between them, the cricket resumed its song, a sound of pure contentment and domestic joy. John whispered to the little creature,
Thank you for teaching me to trust in love.
and the cricket sang on, blessing the hearth where trust and love had been tested and proven true, where the greatest gift of all, a faithful heart, had nearly been lost but was now treasured as it deserved.